So as we all know, I have switched over from the property management side of affordable housing to the compliance side. And although they go hand in hand, I have so much to learn. So my goal with these series is to reinforce my learning and document my journey. Like every training I have, or every time I learn something new in the industry, I want to come back on here and regurgitate that so that will reinforce what I have learned. Okay. And then it'll be a resource for me to come back to as well. Okay. That's the goal here. So, with that being said, I'm not an expert, I'm not a pro. This is compliance by day, and I'm learning as I go. Remember that, okay? So I wanted to get on here and talk about the first, well, it's really not the first training, but the first training I'm recording is an introduction to multifamily section 8. And although I worked at a HUD property before, I feel like it's important for me to just start at the beginning. Let's just start at the beginning. And I'm really trying to find more trainings. A lot of them cost, y'all. They be costing. So this one was actually a free one, and it was recorded back before in like 2023. So who knows if things have updated since then, but because y'all know we got hot in effect. But let's get to it, okay? So the introduction to multifamily section 8. So this primarily talked about PBRA, which is project-based rental assistance. Now, these programs were established under the Section 8 Housing Act of 1937. And assistance is either project-based or tenant-based. So the project-based means the property is the one that has the subsidy. Tenant-based is when people like have vouchers and they can take the voucher to this property or this property and this property. It stays with the tenant, okay? So also talked about tenant selection plan / HUD occupancy requirements. And here are some of the requirements, okay? Checking on student status, citizenship, social security numbers. And with HUD, it's only available to citizens or what is it called? Like resident, like permanent residents, or I don't know if it's offensive to say aliens. Like they have an alien registration or permanent residents, or y'all know what I'm trying to say here. Those kind, the assistance is only available to that. That just made me think, y'all, on the real estate side of things. I had just heard that FHA is no longer going to be available to those who are not citizens or something. But that's besides the point. Sorry. Okay. And also some of the requirements are screenings. You have to do a screening for criminal and the national sex offender screening, as well as doing a EIV existing tenant search, which basically searches that the person who is looking to stay at your property is not tied to another property they are receiving subsidy at. Okay, and it talks about different kind of certifications. Now, most of the certifications I knew, like the move-in certification, annual, the interim, the move-out, the termination. But I did learn about an initial certification, which is an existing resident paying market rent, or they don't receive a subsidy, and then they become eligible for assistance. Then you would complete an initial certification. And child care expenses. So these expenses are added in if necessary to enable someone to work, attend school, or look for work. And when I look at our HUD properties, because my property has a mix of like HUD properties as well as low income housing tax credit. Some have both, some have one. Okay. And sometimes when I look at the Section 8 and like annual recertification, a question is on there that asks about child care expenses. So, and then this is something I had no idea about: annual rent adjustments and how I guess they are determined. So you have different ways, like auto operating cost adjustment factor, also known as OCAF, budget based rent increase, but that is for option 4 only, zero budget based rent increase, and rent comparability study. That's for option 1 or 2. And in the 5th year, the rent comparability study is required. Okay. So the handbook that is used for all these rules and regulations is known as the 4350.3 for my side of things. And one thing I thought was interesting, it was saying how the handbook, like say if it's a new rule, the actual handbook will not get updated. It may be years before it's actually updated. So it is important to look at HUD clips to see those updates. HUD clips. And Tenant Rental Assistance Certification System, also known as TRACS. I have definitely heard of TRACS before. I personally haven't done anything with TRACS, but I be hearing them talk about TRACS. And I'm gonna definitely take a TRACS training class as well. And it's used to automatically generate payments for subsidy programs. And in the training, it was saying how it's kind of like a filing cabinet where all the tenant information and all that information goes. Okay. And after 90 days, when someone moves in, you have to pull an income and summary report to make sure that the information that you verified them moving in is still correct. And that is submitted to TRACS as well. And one thing this made me think about, so say if your compliance team does not have a great system with tracking the files that have been sent in from property management, this might get missed. And I'm saying it because I'm just thinking, say if compliance pre-approves a file and the property management is okay to move them in. If compliance never follows up and say, hey, I pre-approved this file 2-3 weeks ago, did you move them in? And the management team doesn't let compliance know that they moved them in, this may get missed. Especially if you're not on top of things, I feel like. Then they got into monthly voucher submissions, which are due by the 10th of the month. Voucher submission deadline, discrepancies, signed voucher hard copy, final reconciliation voucher, and special claims. So a property can submit a special claims based off vacancy and unpaid rent and damages. And the owner agent has 180 calendar days from the time unit is ready for occupancy to submit a claim. And also management and occupancy review, also known as MOR, and you would use the HUD 9834 as well as addendum A and C. So these notes that I took are for primarily the things that I did not know and I want to expand on. So I didn't write down everything, like stuff I already know, I didn't write all that out. So that was my introduction to multifamily section 8 that I learned, and I plan on keeping it going. Like even last week, y'all, we had an audit. I may get on here and talk about that audit and the process that took. So yeah, another day the compliance way.